97% of climate scientists agree that climate change is human-caused. So how do we reverse our actions to ensure a sustainable planet? To cure the dangerous effects of climate change, we need to cut carbon emissions. The Paris Agreement, signed in 2015, states that the world will commit to preventing global temperature rise from exceeding 2 degrees Celsius. The only way to achieve this is by accepting nuclear power as a primary energy source. These images from a NASA time-lapse show that in the last 100 years, global temperature rise has occurred exponentially, resulting in an overall 1 degree increase to date. Some people still disagree that climate change is human-caused. However, this time-lapse shows how the concentration of CO2 in the atmosphere has increased exponentially since 2002. This aligns with human increases in energy consumption. If the concentration of CO2 continues to increase at this rate, we will reach the 2-degree global temperature increase by the year 2065. So what does this mean? Humans need to reduce CO2 emissions by almost 100% to reverse climate change in time. The only possible way to achieve this is by turning to nuclear power. When considering clean energy, most people think of wind and solar power. But the truth is, although these methods do utilize a renewable resource, they are expensive, have no safe disposal method, and are unreliable intermittent sources. When the wind isn't blowing and the sun isn't shining, we cannot obtain power from solar or wind. This means that both of these sources require a baseload energy source, such as fossil fuels, to supplement the times that they are unavailable. In addition, one commercial wind turbine can cost upwards of $2 million to install and only lasts about 20 years. Solar panels are destroyed and put in landfills for disposal because of the amount of electrical components. We have no safe way to dispose of them. So in reality, how clean are these energy sources really? In Ontario, 60% of electricity is produced by nuclear, 30% by hydropower, and 10% by all other sources, including solar and wind. For hydro to provide the same amount of power that nuclear does, the province would need to be flooded by 6 inches. This proves just how powerful nuclear energy is. Nuclear power also has one of the smallest carbon footprints compared to all other energy sources, and the low operating cost over a very long life cycle makes nuclear the most cost-effective, low-carbon technology. Currently, the amount of nuclear power being produced reduces emissions by about 2.5 billion tons of CO2 per year. There's a negative stigma, though, surrounding nuclear power because of historical events. But the reality is that the current generation of nuclear reactors has a very safe track record. The Canadian nuclear industry is one of the most closely monitored in the world. And in more than 50 years of using nuclear energy, not one fatality has resulted from radiation exposure at a Canadian nuclear power plant. Waste is handled in secure locations until it has decayed to a safe level, and it's tracked throughout its entire life cycle and is monitored at every step of the way. So if safety is not a concern as it was generations ago, and nuclear provides a smaller carbon footprint than many other energy sources, it begs the question as to why nuclear is being held back from being a leader in energy production. The answer is that people simply don't like it. We fear nuclear. However, disasters have occurred over all energy production fields. Oil rig explosions, natural resource mine collapses, wind turbine construction fatalities, the list goes on. So what makes nuclear any more scary? Outdated mindsets of yesterday's beliefs. We need to alter the stigma against nuclear power in order to move towards a sustainable future. We need to change this perception that nuclear power is the big bad wolf, because it could in fact be the solution to our climate change crisis.